Pastor Shane here. I hope that you're having a blessed Monday. And in today's Nugget, I'm going to speak to you on the subject of living ready, living with expectation. And so we begin a new series of Nuggets today that I'm entitling Living Ready. And so in other words, being prepared for Christ's return. He could return at any moment. I had a blessed day yesterday. I pray that you did too, serving the Lord in the Lord's house. Kelly and I, we had a great time serving the Lord in church, and also had a great time on Friday as I had time to spend several hours with Pastor Mark Brumbelow from Texas to just hear how God is really working in his little church, Grace Baptist Church. That little church only has 55 members, and guess what? They packed last year 19,000 shoe boxes for Operation Christmas Child. Their goal this year is 20,000. Just a blessing to see how God can work in a church given any size. But today we're going to talk about living with expectation. And the Bible says simply this: therefore you also be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect. Matthew chapter 24, verse 44. In other words, and I've said this many times, be ye ready. You know, one of the greatest challenges for believers is maintaining a sense of expectation. And it's easy, listen, to become consumed with the routines of daily life, all the pressures of work and even family and the responsibilities, all the distractions that each and every one of us deal with on a day-to-day basis that's in our culture. Yet Jesus here repeatedly instructed his followers to live with anticipation of his return. We see that all throughout the Bible as we read. I want you to go back and think right now in your mind and heart about the early church. You know, the early church lived with a constant awareness that Christ could return at any given moment. And you know, this expectation did not cause them to withdraw from society and to share the gospel boldly and to pursue holiness diligently. And so when we think about living ready, listen friend, living ready begins with an understanding that the world is not our permanent home. I mean, this place right here, I'm sitting right now at my home in my favorite room at my house, which is the porch. This is not my permanent home. Our citizenship, if we've trusted the Lord, is in heaven. Every single day that we live is a gift from God, and it's an opportunity for us just to glorify Him. And so we ought to ask ourselves on a regular basis, if Christ returned today, if He returned right now, would He find me faithful? That's something we ought to always be asking. Friend, readiness is not about predicting dates or becoming obsessed with signs. It is about cultivating a heart that longs for His appearing and seeks to honor Him in every single area of life that we have. And so the Lord desires for His people to live with that hopeful anticipation rather than some fearful speculation. Listen, His return is not something believers should dread. You know, it's our blessed hope. So let me encourage you today to lift your eyes above the temporary concerns of the world and remember this: Jesus is coming again. I think we ought to ask ourselves some questions today. Am I living with a daily awareness that Christ could just return at any given moment? We ought to be asking that. And I don't like to tell anybody how to pray, but I think we ought to pray, just asking the Lord to help us live with expectation and hope, and really to just keep our hearts focused on the eternal things and to teach us to live faithfully as we await His return. I pray the Lord bless you and keep you, and Lord willing, we will see you again right here on Tuesday. Take care and God bless.